Hey everybody! Today I'll be comparing AgentKit, which came out 2 days ago, against n8n, another popular agent workflow builder. And at the ending, as an added bonus, I'll do a quick comparison to our own agent builder, Inkeep. So let's dive right in. So this comparison is a little bit different. What better way to compare these two agent builders than to create real-life customer support agents in each one of them? While I won't be live building these customer support agents, I'll be showing you what it looks like in each one. The customer support agent will be composed of two MCP tools, an Inkeep RAG tool, which returns the top 10 relevant documents from the Inkeep knowledge base, as well as a Zendesk tool to create a Zendesk ticket if the agent can't answer the question. So let's jump right in. n8n, this is sort of what the customer support agent looks like in n8n. As you'll see, we have these two MCP tools as well as an OpenAI model. And so there are 7 really big benefits to n8n in my opinion. One is just the large number of triggers. As we could see, if we go to a new workflow, you have all of these different kinds of triggers, triggering it manually on a webhook call and through an MCP server. And so that's all great. You cannot do that in AgentKit. You have hundreds of out-of-the-box integrations. And so if you do action and apps, you can see you have hundreds of apps to choose from, which is really nice. The third benefit with n8n is you have live tracing. So here, when you ask a question, you could see live traces on the right, which is really neat. It helps you debug in real time. You have a history of your executions. Another neat thing that you do not see in AgentKit. You have sort of this history, and you can kind of go back and see what went wrong, what went right. You have evals. You have the fact that n8n is open source, and because of this, it's open source, you can host it locally and on the cloud. With AgentKit, you can only host it on the cloud. However, n8n does have some cons. One is the UI seems a little complex and daunting, and while the hundreds of integrations are great, as a beginner, it can be really difficult to understand where to begin. The second drawback is the MCPs are a little bit limited. When I was creating this customer support agent, the MCP only accepted 1 header maximum, even though the Zendesk tool required 3. So I ended up having to hard code the credentials on the MCP server itself, which is never great. The third drawback is the out-of-the-box widget isn't that customizable. As you can see, this is the out-of-the-box widget. And so if I ask a question, what is Inkeep? We can see that it doesn't actually have any streaming of any sort. It sort of outputs the text in one block, which isn't a great look. The chat widget additionally doesn't have any rich generative UI that you can render, unlike AgentKit, which has a whole widget builder ecosystem. I'll kind of head into that later. And finally, yeah, those are sort of the drawbacks with n8n. It's great for building complex workflows, but on the UI side, it is very, very limited. Okay, so heading over to AgentKit's Agent Builder, this is sort of what everybody's been talking about. AgentKit has, in my eyes, 6 big benefits compared to n8n at least. One is it's a fantastic UI. It looks just beautiful. It's almost as if this is a Figma had designed an agent builder. Very beginner friendly. And 2, the out of the box, it offers file search, which is very useful. That comes with the platform, and also guardrails, which are also really useful. So it can monitor things like PII, moderation, jailbreak, hallucination, etc. The chat widget UI is open source and is very customizable. So if we go to the widget playground, we can see that we can modify the font family, the size of the font, the roundness of the corners, how dense the widget is, and overall very customizable. The widget builder also offers a rich generative UI, as we could see from this graph right here. And more than that, creating a widget is incredibly easy in AgentKit. You can create widgets using natural language, which is really fun and neat. And then once those are done being generated, you can see the results in code. And creating a widget is actually as easy as downloading it here and then dropping it into your agent. As you can see here, you can choose between the output format, and one of them is widget. And so they make it incredibly easy to create rich generative UI. Those are like the big benefits to AgentKit in my mind, but it does have a few drawbacks. One is the UI is too simple. At a glance, you really can't identify that this is a customer support graph. You have to click into this agent node to see, okay, this has an Inkeep RAG tool as well as a Zendesk tool, and you have to click into it to view the model, view the output format, and so it's not really identifiable like at a glance like what exactly this graph is doing. The second drawback is there's only really one way to talk to an agent. We saw in n8n how there are multiple triggers, but in AgentKit, you can really only talk to it through the chat. There's more of a limited selection of out-of-the-box integration. So if we click on MCP here and click Add, we can only see that maybe there are like a dozen and a half integrations you can connect to out of the box. And in addition, connecting to them is a little difficult. Like if you click get access token, it's very unfriendly in terms of like how do I connect to sending a Google Mail. And so, in terms of integrations, it definitely has less than n8n. While the chat widgets are great, because agents can't autonomously choose whether to use a chat agent, they're basically deterministically locked into either producing the chat widget or producing text to create a chat interface, a customer support chat interface with rich generative UI. You end up having to create a sort of a more complex agent graph like this, where we could see we have an agent node to determine if the question was answered. If it was answered, then provide a text response. And if it wasn't answered, then provide a widget response. And so it would be ideal if the agent itself could choose whether to provide a widget or a text response, or even embed the widget in their text response. But in AgentKit, it's very binary. And the last drawback I feel with AgentKit is that it is not open source, and so it's not great for the open source community, and you can't really host it locally as a result. You're forced into their cloud option. But other than that, they do have just like this beautiful chat UI. As you can see, it's generative. So I asked how many employees does Inkeep have in 2025? The documentation does not answer that question. And so it created a ticket, and this is the rich generative UI I was talking about. And if we go in Zendesk, we can see that that ticket was indeed created through the Zendesk MCP. And so lastly, let's talk about Inkeep, right? Inkeep, I like to think that Inkeep combines the best of both worlds. It's just like n8n in that it's open source, and you can host this locally or on the cloud if you choose to. And it has many triggers just like n8n. You can talk to it through agent-to-agent protocol, through an API call, through an MCP server, through the Vercel AI SDK. And it just has hundreds of sort of out of the box integrations, just like n8n. So if we go to MCP servers here, we can see that there are many out of the box MCP tools that you can sort of use with your agent graph, which is neat. At a glance, just like n8n, you can see exactly what your graph is up to. You can see that this customer support agent is hooked up to 2 MCP nodes, you can see sort of the chat widget at a glance. You have the Zendesk ticket card chat component, and so it's neat. Now, just like AgentKit, it is beginner-friendly user interface. At least in my opinion, this looks much more inviting than n8n's sort of complexity. It has rich generative UI, just like AgentKit, and its chat widget is highly customizable. As you can see, this is the chat widget, and you can customize it however you would like. And more than just AgentKit, n8n, you can actually define your agents in code and then convert that code to a visual interface when you're ready. And you can go back from the UI to code. So whereas AgentKit is solely from UI to code. And what I mean by code to UI and UI to code is that you can define your agents using our TypeScript SDK declaratively. You can define the MCP tools, the models that your agents are using, as well as the chat widget components that will be rendered in the chat, which is really nice. When you're done defining your agents in code, you can push it, And by running the Inkeep push command, you can visualize what you just created. And let's say you make edits, or you or a non-technical team member make edits to the customer support agent. You can pull those changes down back into code. Now, I just want to show off the rich generative UI here. Our customer support agent does not know how to answer the question, how many employees does Inkeep have in 2025? That's not in the knowledge base. And so it'll create a Zendesk ticket. And using our rich generative UI, it will also generate a React component for the Zendesk ticket that it just created, which is really neat. Okay, so that's it for this video. I just want to know what you guys think. Just leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you want to see any tutorials for how I built any of these agents? It doesn't necessarily have to be in Inkeep. I can build them in AgentKit or n8n. Do you want to see tutorials on how I built the MCP servers? Which chat widgets do you think offered the cleanest experience? Please let me know. And if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to personally ask me, feel free to reach out to me personally. My email is gaurav@inkeep.com. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Dev Week.